All right. So yesterday we saw how to deal with the r in a conjunct consonant, whether it comes before or whether it comes, whether it comes first or whether it comes second. We saw what happens to r. R is an independent character, and so whatever the regular letters do, he does the opposite. When he comes after, which is what we saw first, he's supposed to remain as is. But because he's different, he turns into a little stick and sticks to the line of the letter that he's with. Hmm? He's supposed to remain same, but turns into a line. So when you see the little line, you're supposed to remember, oh yeah, R is different. Even though it's little, it's the full version. You have to say the other letter is the half letter, right? So that is R. And we saw how it looks with different letters. And we saw how with round bottom letters, it becomes a little seat on which the letter sits. Then we saw what happens when R is the first half of a conjunct consonant. In that case, it becomes a little reef, a little hook on the top of the line. And we saw where it sits also. You don't read it where you see it. You read it at the beginning of the syllable on which it is sitting, right? So that is something to watch out for. A simple way to remember reading R is to read it top to bottom. To read in Sanskrit, actually, we read left to right and top to bottom. But we read in syllables. So left to right, this syllable is su, and top to bottom, this syllable is ryaha. Right? So you read left to right and top to bottom. And you will never go wrong if you follow that principle. So try that the next time you're confused about how to read a word. The homework was to practice words, reading and breaking them up into different parts. I'll come back to this topic of breaking up the words. I hope that everybody has been successful in breaking up the words. Every single consonant should have a halan. There should be no consonant written on your paper that does not have a halan. Every single consonant should have a halan, and every single syllable should have a vowel. I hope that the words I'm saying are making sense and it's not sounding like Greek or gibberish because we did it in this class. And I hope that everyone's able. How many people were able to get it right? Okay, no, let me ask a first question. How many people did the homework? How many people checked to see if it was right? Okay, numbers are going down. Of those who checked to see if it was right, how many people got most of them right? Lots of practice needed still. We have pretty much finished learning all the letters, but learning to read and write is like learning to drive a car. When you go to driving school, you sign up for like 5 or 10 hours or something. But at the end of those 5 or 10 hours, you cannot say you're a driver. You have to practice, 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 practice before you get comfortable and familiar with driving. It's the same thing here. You have to practice. And practicing does not mean just writing what you see. It means writing and saying it at the same time. The sound has to go together with what you're writing. I heard a funny thing yesterday. Some people listen to music while doing their Sanskrit homework. The music is to motivate. But that plan is not good because you cannot tell yourself the sounds. So please, if you're doing that, cancel that plan. And in silence is where we do our Sanskrit homework because you say the sound and you write the letter simultaneously And that's the only way the brain makes the connection between the sound and the form that you're writing. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And now we're going to add a little bit more to our, actually today's the last day. We'll be learning something additional, right? I mean, after this, there's nothing to learn when it comes to conjunct consonants. So let us see what we have in store today. If you're a Hindi if you've learned Hindi or you've learned the script before, you might be wondering, but there are 3 more letters that you didn't teach yet. Ksha, tra, gya. Well, those are not independent letters, and that is also not how you say them in Sanskrit, right? So let me start with this. Watch how I write these letters. Now let me tell you first what they're made of and the topic. Sometimes when the conjunct consonants meet, like on Halloween, when you dress up in a certain way, it's hard to recognize you. Or, okay, leave Halloween. When somebody is always wearing pajamas and not combing their hair and dressing up however, and then all of a sudden they have to go to a wedding and they clean up really nice and they fix up their hair and they dress up in nice clothes. You look at them and you have to give them a double look, like, who are you again? Before you recognize who they are, right? So sometimes some of these letters need like a double take, like, wait, what is this again? Like that. So this is like the fancy version, the well-dressed, unrecognizable version of some of these conjunct consonants that come together. And the first time you might be like, I don't know this letter. But if you just look at it carefully, eventually you'll be able to recognize them very easily. So I'll start with the most complicated ones, and then we'll get to the easier ones. The first one is kahalan plus sh. Not sh, sh. Kahalan plus sh. If you say it together, what is the sound that it makes? Ksha. Ksha. Now see how to write it. You know how to write and, a fancy and on the computer? Think of something like that. Do you see what I did? You're supposed to write it actually like that. And then you make the line. And each time you have to say sh. Please try and make the line last, because I didn't learn it like that, so it's hard for me to form the letter without the line first. But since you're learning from scratch, you learn it properly. So you write the and looking part, and then you put the line, and then you cross it on the top. This is ksha. Please say it as you're writing. Ksha. Ksha. How to remember? This one you just have to remember. The ampersand, the and sign on the computer is hard to remember and say, and ksha is hard to remember and say. That's the resemblance between the two of them for me. Okay, so however you want to remember it, but this is what it looks like. Okay, ksha. The next one is tahalan plus ra. Tahalan plus ra. So what is the sound with tahalant and ra? Tra. Tra. Now see what tra looks like. Tra looks like a backwards K. Tra. like a incomplete trishul. It's missing one more stick for the trishul. Tra. Please write it and say it a few times. Tra. Next letter. Jahalan plus nya. This is the most difficult sound to make, and people across Bharat also say it differently. Let me show you how to write it, and then I'll tell you how to say it. So it looks like a j with a tail, right? Like a j with a tail. And the tail is going backwards, not forwards, eh? So the tail comes down backwards towards the letter. And the way to say it, in Hindi, they say gya. Gya is what they say in Hindi. But in Sanskrit, we say nya. 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 And it is J with the squiggly N. Nya. This is the nya in jnanam. This is the nya in yajna. And when we write, okay, now everybody can read this word for me. We just did this letter. Oh, we just did this letter, so that part should be easy. Nya, na, ya, nya. Jnana yajna. Not, in Sanskrit, it is not gyan yagya and any other variation of that type. It's jnana yajna. That is how it is written and read in Sanskrit. Okay? So this is kshatrajna. These are called, well, these are conjunct consonants that just look a little more complicated. They're not so easy to identify them unless you know what they are. Like you can't see the component parts when you look at it. So you just have to learn it, right? Ksha, tra, nya. Okay. Now we come to a few others. So now watch. Tahalan plus ya. Tahalan plus ya. How do you say this? Dia. Dia. And this is how you write it. A little stick, then what looks like a gha, and then it is very similar to ha and to ha. So do not mistake it for these two. This line on that is why it's so important to get the letters right. The little line that joins to it is indicative that it is dia, not gha. Okay, so watch out for that. Dia. Please write it a few times and say it. Dia. Yeah. Next. Tahalan plus ta. Like uttama. Uttama. We say that the two times. Uttama, or word like that. Well, normally you would write it something like this, right? According to the rules. But that's not how we conventionally see it. We see it like this. Like a the with a little line coming out of it. Write it again. The uttama. This is hard to say without saying it in a word. So you say uttama, right? In Sanskrit, we have to pronounce both the T's. They're not redundant. Okay. All right. So far, so good. This is just something you have to familiarize yourself with. There's nothing more than that to it. Okay. All right, next. Dahalan plus ma. Dahalan plus ma. Watch how it's written first before you write it. You make the, you don't leave the paper, you make a loop going out, and then you close it. Dma. Watch again. Dma. Ma. Like in Padma, lotus. Dma. You can kind of see the and the ma in this one, right? So it's not as hard as the first few, which totally look different. Okay, now see this one. I think this one we've already seen, so you can guess what this is made of. Can you guess what these two conjuncts are? I mean, what these two consonants are? Yeah, I can see people saying it. This is halan plus ta. Ushtraha was in the homework. Ushtraha, camel. Ushtraha is camel. Was it there? Yeah, I think so. Ushtraha. Does anyone know? Okay, the Trinis are not allowed to answer this, but everyone else, does anyone know whose Vahan is an Ushtraha? Which of our Devatas' Vahan, vehicle, is a camel? You know how Shivji's is a bull and Durga Ma's is a tiger or a lion and Ganeshji's is a mouse. Whose is a uh, Ushtraha? No, not Indra. The Ushtraha is Hanumanji's. But you never see him with his camel because he's too busy flying himself. But when you go to Trinidad and you go to the Dattatreya Mandir, they have the camel over there. So that's why I said Trinis were not allowed to answer it. Okay, next letter. This one, see. Can you figure out what letter this is? It looks like the letters that it is. The only thing is you have to read this one top to bottom, not just left to right. If you're trying to read it left to right, it looks like this one might come first, the th, but when you read it top to bottom, you realize this is the comes first and then the th comes. So this letter is dahalan plus th. It is the sound in buddhi. 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 Okay, see the next one. Watch how I'm writing it. It's a little loop at the top with the line. And the second letter I wrote, you figured out, right? The second letter is no. So that one is easy. The little loopy on the top, that's the fancy shortcut way of writing sh, the 21 sh. So this is shahalan plus na. Why? Just for fun, just for fun. That's how he looks when he puts his hair up. I don't know. Just for fun. Actually, this letter comes so often that you'll be happy there's a short form for it. So you can write it with just the two part of the 21, but this is the more common way you'll find it. Okay, so now the next couple are easy. What do you think this letter is? Well, you can see the ch, and you know that the little swoosh loop is a 21 sh. So this is sh. The first one was shna, shna, like in ushna. And this one is sh, sh, ashcharya, adhashchodham. Endless words you'll find with sh. Okay, the next one's also really easy. This one is say it. See who said Sanskrit is hard? Shahalan plus va, shva, like ashva. What I'm doing here is called spoon feeding, actually, because most places the script will end at the first three that I gave, and after that you just figure it out as you go. So this is the spoon feeding version, writing out each one separately so you can see it. Okay. All right, next. Can anyone figure out what this might be? Or at least one of the letters in this? Well, there's a th in there, right? So the th you get right. 50% correct. What's the other letter? The other letter is kahalan. This is kta, like bhakta, bhakti, kta, kta. Remember I told you that ha was a bossy letter, meaning when you have, this is not new, but when you have ha and you hahalan plus na, the na will go and sit inside, even though the na is the full one and the ha is the half one. Na, right? This we did already. Well, sometimes, you know how people who are bossy, they can't be bossy with everybody because there's other people who are equally bossy. Well, sometimes ha meets some letters that are bossy like it, so they clash. And ha can't be bossy with them. So just see how ha meets a couple of letters that look a little different. This is ha halan, half ha meeting ya. The ya doesn't sit inside. He's like, no, 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 not happening. This is what it looks like. They kind of stick together like best friends. Equal partners. This is called 50-50 partnership. You see each of them 50-50. This is here, here. Here means yesterday. Here, here. And the last one for today is hahalan plus, oh, see if you can guess. Yeah, I'm seeing people guess it. Correct. Ma. Hahalan plus ma. Hma. Like in Brahma. Not Brahma. Not Brahma. Brahma. Hma. So this is the end of our fancy conjunct consonant list. Conjunct consonants is where you have two consonants meeting, and these are just fancy ones. They look a little, you have to give them a double take. But once you know who they are, well, now you know. That's all. You just have to be able to recognize them. Okay? So I will send for homework now. Oh, now homework will get interesting. I'm going to send some words that you can practice for these letters, but I'm also going to send a story for you to read. Okay? No, don't freak out. It's a short story, a few sentences. I'll send it and take your time. You can open the, your paper that has all of your vowels and then all of your consonants. You keep that with you and you keep checking and slowly take your time and try to read the story. Actually, because this is the first time we're doing it, with the story, I will also send you a recording of me saying the story. So you can listen and follow along and try to identify all the sounds. How does that sound? Okay. So part one of homework is you'll get some words to read and to break up, just like we've been doing. Part two is you're going to listen to the story and try and read along. Okay? All right. Closing prayer, and then I'll take questions. If you need to ask a question, you have to have your video on, by the way. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay. Question.